bit. It's my honor to present the high school winner in the Rosa Parks Human Rights Award. And so the nominators had said in their letters that the student has shown exceptional promise in the field of human rights in Latah County, and I couldn't agree more. And so I'm going to list some of the many accomplishments of this student. I got a couple pages that I cut it down. As I go along, it's going to become clearer to at least some of you who I'm talking about, especially high school people will start to recognize this individual. It's a little hard not to list the accomplishments and not figure out who it is, kind of idea. And so the student is at Moscow High School, and the student has undertaken ambitious work whose impact extends beyond the boundaries of the high school campus into the community, at the same time giving fellow students a sense of their own capacity for affecting change in the wider world. And so this student headed up participation for Moscow High School in the Model UN Nations Conference in Seattle, conducts weekly after-school training sessions in that area, instructing students on how to be delegates and creating practice scenarios, took the Model UN to the Moscow Middle School, and brings Moscow High School students to the middle school to teach middle schoolers about the conference, and is the driving force behind this annual Moscow program. This year, the student was elected as the Human Rights and International Club's president, and he promotes a wide range of activities. At weekly lunch meetings, he encourages students to sign up for services and fundraising activities, among them organizing an Oxfam Hunger banquet, volunteering at this breakfast, so that's why a lot of these students are here, and attending, setting up meetings and for guest speakers, volunteering at the winter market, moving furniture for Family Promise, helping the Rotary sell kettle corn at the farmers market, taking part in the Women's March, the March in support of immigrants, and the March for Our Lives Against Gun Violence. And so the student's quite busy. He is an exceptional, valuable member of the Latah County Human Rights Task Force and the Moscow City Human Rights Commission, been on both for 3 years. On the commission, he helped us plan and run the Northwest Regional Conference that was mentioned earlier that Linda Paul had originally founded, the Finding the Center Conference, an action-oriented human rights conference. He helped plan it and run it with us. He is working on a spring educational forum on opioid addiction and its impact on human rights. He volunteers on this task force for a lot of their projects, the Great Moscow Food Drive, the Police Pride Rally, Human Rights Day at the Market, and for both these organizations, he acts as the high school liaison and getting high school involved in it. And so he engages kindly, collaboratively, and energetically. He knows what needs doing and inspires others to join him in the work. His efforts express compassion and empathy, and given this impressive record at an early stage, considering he's just a senior in high school, what promises to be a long career in human rights and social justice, it is my honor to announce the winner of the high school award, Ari Carter. He decided he didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say. Thank you. I love Moscow. I've loved being able to work with the high schoolers and with the greater community for the past 4 years. And yeah, I'm excited to keep going.
University level is K7. I'm so proud of her. I don't know what what we're going to do without him. It'll take 3 or 4 students to make for his efforts.
Hi there. Good morning. So I have the pleasure to teach immigration law and lead the immigration clinic at the University of Idaho College of Law. And so I've nominated a few students at this point for this award. The student this year who's receiving it, this is my 3rd year here, and so she's been with me at Moscow for my entire time, and I remember her from the start as somebody who was ready to push up their sleeves and get in to the business of helping other people with her newly acquired law skills from the minute she landed on campus. Her first year, she helped lead an annual project to Eastern Washington in an agricultural community in Othello, Washington, where the university raises donations for clothes, for food, diapers, formula, all kinds of materials, as well as then partnering with local nonprofits to educate the community and provide resources on workers' rights, wage and hour rights, tenant protections, and immigration. And so we often provide presentations on Know Your Rights and do consultations about people's immigration status and questions and how to protect themselves and what to be prepared for. From the very beginning, at her first year in law school, she went above and beyond in organizing this and translating all the materials and making copies and getting the donations there and organizing the cars and making sure that the 100 people who showed up that afternoon got the services and supplies that they needed. She did that again her 2L year and took on a leadership role in that work and is already, we've just had a conversation about what it will look like this year. And now she's in charge of that, that entire project and making sure that we are doing what we can in these communities that are very vulnerable. In the clinic, she started, you can't be a member of the clinic until your 3rd year. However, that didn't keep her away. And so she volunteered last year to help a 15-year-old boy who'd been abandoned in Washington and then had moved to Idaho by his parents, well, by his mother. He fled Mexico after his father had been shot on their front porch. He narrowly escaped being killed himself. Came to the United States with his mom and was abandoned once they got here. She helped do the translations, prepare everything for family court to get him a guardian with his aunt, and we worked with the Northwest Immigrant Rights Project to supply them with the necessary sort of state court proceeding to keep him from being deported and allow him to find protection here. This year, she's taken on independently getting the green card, the lawful permanent residence status for a woman, the first client that I had in Idaho. She also was abandoned by her parents, had come into Idaho at age 16 from Honduras after 15 years of some pretty awful abuse. Found her father only to be abused again, left that home, and we again helped her both with the protecting her against deportation through getting her asylum and making sure that she had a guardian that could care for her while she was here. This student this year had the great pleasure of taking this young woman from a situation of incredible vulnerability to actually being just months away from permanent lawful status in the United States. The student's, I think, crowning achievement, though, was this December, when amid finals, she spent endless hours coordinating interviews by the U.S. Department of Labor into the human trafficking and involuntary servitude that 3 of our clients have been put into. They were trafficked from California to Washington to pick blueberries amid horrible conditions. They were not fed. One of their co-workers died on the job. They escaped the farm to be helped out by community leaders on the west coast of Washington. And so the U.S. Department of Labor investigated, it's undergoing an investigation into the employers and the unlawful practices by those employers to bring these workers here and to traffic them. And so a number of those workers, though, had to go home after they escaped their farm. And so this student had to arrange Skype interviews in really remote areas of Mexico, working with the local cafe, teaching people how to download Skype, setting up all kinds of arrangements, working with the wives, the neighbors, everybody to make sure that the U.S. Department of Labor could conduct the investigations that they needed into the unlawful practices by their employers so that these individuals could potentially get a form of protection based on their status as victims of quite brutal crimes. So I sat back, and this is something that I never would have been able to pull off myself, and we would have had a real problem getting these men the justice that they deserved. And so listening to her conversations with them and seeing the comfort that they had with her and the relief that they had after 2 years to finally be able to tell people what happened to them and to finally listen to people, both their attorneys and the U.S. government, who cared about what happened to them. And then to hear her clients call her Moni, just like her family does. And so Monica Ontiveros, please come up and accept your award.
Especially all the professors. My mentor here, Kate, I really do consider her as a mentor. Professor Seaman as well. I really do look up to those professors. They've really pushed me, and I couldn't be more proud of all the work that I've done and all the clients that I have worked with. I think the biggest reward for me is seeing all the clients that I help with a smile or calling me by my simple family name, which is Moni, short for Monica. So that is what I'm really proud of when I go and work with all these individuals. So thank you so much, Professor Evans and Professor Seaman.